I am so deliriously excited right now. I'm talking old school SmackDown now. Happy Friday, everybody. For all of those of you who are watching Friday Night SmackDown, enjoy. I watched a very old SmackDown. Oh my goodness, I sound weird, right? I know. But welcome to my classic review of WWE SmackDown from August 26th of 1999. Now, for those who are maybe confused or wondering when you clicked on this video, I decided that since my schedule has changed and to just kind of make time for myself, that I was going to start reviewing the old Raws and the old SmackDowns, changing the schedule, doing things a little bit differently. So this is the first of the new classic review series that I'm going to be doing for both Raw and SmackDown, kicking off with the inaugural UPN incarnation of SmackDown with the actual set and everything. Of course, there was a SmackDown in April of the same year that was actually the first SmackDown, the very first episode, but this was the official start of it on network television and so on and so forth. Long-winded as usual, but it's awesome going back and seeing what SmackDown was then when it first started. They really did push it hard at first. Like those first few years, SmackDown was just banging. You know what I mean? It was a banging show. It was interesting, fun. Like the very first night, the main event, The Rock versus Triple H for the WWF Championship. Like some fun stuff. Legitimately was I had fun with it. I did. I had fun with it. Oh, sorry, messing with my thing. But this was a fun show. But I also remember going back and just kind of seeing how the WWF approached things back then. It was quick. Matches were always fast. Everything was boom, 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 boom. Just quick and fast and in a hurry. I don't know. It's an interesting because this was my heyday. I was 15 years old when this first aired. And I remember watching it, and I remember being like, oh, there's no longer just Raw and Thunder and Nitro. Now I got SmackDown. And then it ended up on a different channel, and I wasn't able to watch it. So less than a year later, they changed the system, and I couldn't watch it no more. But this did. It brought me back to my childhood. It made me remember how fun it was. Oh, man. I felt like a kid again. That's the best way to put it. I felt like a kid again watching SmackDown and just having a good time. I wasn't bored. I legitimately had a fun time watching SmackDown tonight. So, sorry, I'm just testing my microphone here. I messed it up. Look at me. But SmackDown, this SmackDown, of course, was in Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. Sadly, the same place where Owen Hart tragically had passed or had fallen to his death just months before. But SmackDown does kick off. Let me set up my notes here so I can see what I'm doing here. SmackDown, though, does kick off with a recap of Triple H beating The Rock back at Fully Loaded, and then him losing at SummerSlam, and then what happened on the Raw following. Of course, little backstory, Triple H beat The Rock in a strap match at Fully Loaded that year to become the number one contender at SummerSlam, in which hit bounced between him and China, and then Mick Foley. Mick Foley eventually becoming number one contender, and then Triple H eventually making it a triple threat match. And then Mick Foley won the championship at SummerSlam by pinning Steve Austin. course, Austin then was attacked by Triple H, and his knees were taken out, and then he was eventually kind of rode off TV for a while. Next night on Raw, Triple H breaks the arm of JR to get a title opportunity against Mankind. Earned that title, and then Shane McMahon helped him win the championship for Triple H to become for the first time in his career, the World Wrestling Federation champion. Triple H then comes out to the ring, flanked by Chyna, with his brand new championship. So this is the first show that Triple H gets to debut on. Of course, Triple H debuts on the first SmackDown as the champ. Man. Those were the days, right? Simple days. Chyna was still with Triple H. Triple H was still a good, cocky heel. When he was always saying, I am the game. You can't beat me, Rock. That was a terrible impression. He says he'd usually have 2 words for us, but tonight he only has 4. Never heard what those 4 words were, but he said for every corporate guy in the back who said he couldn't do it, he would never break through, he is now the World Wrestling Federation champion, and he stuck it to them. He says, if you line them up, I'll knock them down. That's to include the people's ass. He says, not Foley, not Austin, not even The Rock are the champion, but he is. Rock does come out and says, how dare you, Triple H, come out on The Rock show, the People show, and talk about being the World Wrestling Federation champion. He says if he's the game, then he needs to go back to the drawing board because the game absolutely sucks. I miss this shit. No joke. This shit was fun, man. I loved this shit. My notes keep falling. I gotta fix this. Sorry. Where am I? Where is he? He says tonight he's going to whoop Triple H's ass and become the World Wrestling Federation champion. Triple H said that he couldn't hold... I'm sorry, guys. This keeps falling. Triple H told him, no way, go back and do whatever it was he was doing. He's not getting a title opportunity. I'm about to look at my notes there. I need my clipboard. Sorry, this is really, I'm trying here. The Rock says he was going to give him 3 options. The last one, basically him coming down, sticking his $600 shoe up his ass, but Triple H told him that he couldn't even hold his jock on his best day. So Shawn Michaels comes out, says if we're going to make this official, there's only one cat that can do it. So he then makes the match himself and then goes on to make himself the special guest referee. Then out of nowhere, Shane McMahon pops up. Shane McMahon says, well, he has it's in his right as the commissioner, but that as an owner, he was going to then insert himself as the other referee to keep an eye on Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels says, well, no. He says he wants to talk about stroke. He says, well, as commissioner, since he has the authorities to book anyone in matches, he was booking Shane McMahon in a match now that he is an active wrestler since he had that spectacular match at SummerSlam against Mankind. Mick Foley comes out and says all this talk about strokes and beating people, shoving things up people's butts, that got him a little excited. He says there's an old saying, why put off today what you can do tomorrow? Okay. Good words, Mick Foley. Good words. He says so he's going to walk down the people's aisle, take off his $3 shirt that he got at the Goodwill, loosen his free tie that he got from the World Wrestling Federation, and Rock says, all right, enough talking. I'm going to whoop some candy ass. So they all get in the ring. They all start to brawl. Out comes the Mean Street Posse. The Rock and Mick Foley, Mankind, clear the ring and are left standing tall. So that's how the opening segment of the show started. I mean, I am one of those who I hear, right? I see what they do now with the constant opening promos, and it feels repetitive. But for some reason, back then, it never felt like it was. It never felt like it was forced. It never felt bad or any of that. It was always entertaining. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was definitely entertaining. Sorry, I'm losing my focus a little bit here. Been a long day. So the first match of the evening came. It was Jeff Jarrett versus Billy Gunn. Of course, Billy Gunn had wanted to sign the open contract from Jeff Jarrett on Raw for the Intercontinental Championship that Jeff Jarrett won at SummerSlam, defeating D'Lo Brown for both that and the European Championship. But of course, Chyna ended up signing that contract instead of Billy Gunn, and then she ended up getting hit with the guitar shot when Billy ducked it on Raw past Monday. Match starts with a fast start, Jarrett stomping Billy Gunn, but Billy starts to get the advantage using his power, hits a beautiful big old power slam on Jarrett. Deborah tries to distract him. Billy, he pays attention but turns around, hitting Jarrett in the face with a nice fist. Jarrett on the outside, though, does have the advantage, tosses Billy Gunn into a ring post. You get some back and forth between the two. Chyna comes out. Miss Kitty trying to hand the guitar into Jeff Jarrett. Chyna gets it. Goes to hit Deborah, but somehow hits Miss Kitty, but Deborah then sells it like she got hit. A bit of a botch, a small botch, but that was kind of the thing with the women at that time. They weren't. Most of the women on this roster were not exactly what you would call up to the par for those who watch women's wrestling today. Anyways, this distracts Jeff Jarrett long enough for Billy Gunn to roll him up, getting the 3 count, pinning the Intercontinental Champion. After the match, though, Billy and Chyna, they start to argue, and Billy Gunn goes to show his ass to Chyna, but she ends up low blowing him. So this is around that time they all start to have their issues. They're all having their back and forth, and Chyna's kind of a tweener. She's on the verge of going on to her own. I'm not going to spoil things for those who have not watched all this stuff. I do encourage you, though, to go back and rewatch these episodes. They're freaking amazing. Lane Garcia interviews Al Snow. He basically, the whole interview is just him begging the boss man to give him back Pepper. Pepper is his Wawa that was stolen by the big boss man. He begs him, says, I'm not a begging man, but I'm begging you, please don't hurt him. I'll do whatever you want. Just bring him back. You see Howard Finkel, the Fink, rest in peace, good sir, shining the boots of Y2J. Then you see Test waiting in the parking garage for Stephanie McMahon to arrive. We move on to the first title match of the evening, a triple threat match for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championships. Undertaker and Kane defending the championships against Kane and X-Pac and the Acolytes. Undertaker, of course, joining commentary, saying that this is his version of tough love, that in order for him to fulfill his greater thing, his big plan, he has to show Big Show tough love, but Big Show has to have that killer instinct. That's the whole point. This was around that time Undertaker was having these weird promos, was acting very strange for sure. Taker joins commentary, though. But you get this big DDT by Kane on Big Show for only 2 count. Big Show's then clotheslined to the outside by several guys. Undertaker gets up, says, excuse me. Gets up, says, do you want me to unlock all the answers? Slaps him, like, just being weird. Big Show gets in, starts beating up some people. Goes to X-Pac goes to powerbomb X-Pac. Both Farouk and Bradshaw try to chop him down. They get him down to his knees. Bradshaw with a boot to X-Pac, knocking him, like almost knocking his head off. It was Kane, though, does get a tag, comes off the top, clotheslines the Big Show. Kane chokeslams Farouk, chokeslams Bradshaw. You get some shots back and forth between Kane and the Big Shows. They're going back and forth. X-Pac gets in. He tries to help. Kane gets pulled out. Eventually, X-Pac ends up being distracted by someone on the outside. He ends up getting chokeslammed for the 1, 2, and the 3 Big Show and Undertaker do retain the championships. This is going to be a very weird time for the Undertaker. You all should just know this. You see Test again, waiting for Stephanie. She finally arrives, says, "Hey, maybe you got an answer for me?" She says, "Actually, I do." So Stephanie was proposed to. Now she has an answer. Big Boss Man comes out. He hears out. Yeah, this was all before Stephanie became kind of a bit of a bitch. Ooh, was I even supposed to say that word? Probably not. Attitude Era. Boss Man, though, comes out. He says he hears Al Snow is looking for him. He says, "Well, I'm 6'7", 310 pounds. I am not hard to find, so why don't you come out here?" Al Snow makes his way out to the ring. Says, "Look, all I want to know," Boss Man starts arguing. "Don't shut up." He's like, "I just want to know if Pepper's okay." Boss Man says he's fine for now. He's safe for now, but if he fights him one more time, he's sending that dog straight to hell. He says he wants Al Snow to go to the back, bring that hardcore title. He'll bring Pepper. Win, lose, or draw, Al Snow can have Pepper back. He says, but if he somehow reneges and doesn't show up, he's going to take that dog to a dark place and show him what hard times is all about. Fucking love Boss Man. Rest in peace to Boss Man as well. So that sets up the title match after we come back from the commercial break. Al Snow versus the Big Boss Man for the Hardcore Championship. This was not much of a match. This was just set up for something else. Pepper comes out. He's being muzzled. JR's trying to play off. I hope he's not hurt that dog. So Al Snow starts getting in some shots, just barreling and beating up the Boss Man. He immediately goes for Pepper, but he gets cut off by the Boss Man. Snow starts using a cookie sheet, hits him in the head. Weapons coming out. Al Snow with a ladder tries to do something, setting it up on the apron onto the ropes, but Boss Man knocks him down. The ladder goes flying, almost cracks Boss Man in the head. Boss Man grabs the ladder. Al Snow kind of shoves it back into his face. Al Snow again tries to go for Pepper, but then gets hit in the head with the light stick. Getting covered for the 1, 2, 3. The Big Boss Man, just like that, if I could snap my fingers, I would, becomes your new Hardcore Champion. Right afterwards, the Boss Man grabs Pepper. You see this dog like literally freak out, like, and trying to fight the whole way up. So he takes Pepper back, and poor Pepper. Does Pepper really deserve this? I think not. I don't think Pepper deserves to be treated that way. We see X-Pac and Kane, though, in the parking garage. X-Pac talking as he's trying to walk away. You can tell he's frustrated, but he's not like, I'm the weak link. He's trying to leave. And you hear Kane yell, "Sean!" This is before Kane was audible. Al Snow, we go back to ringside. Al Snow's just waking up. He notices Pepper's not there. He bolts back up the ramp to go back. Get a split screen. The Rock and Triple H getting ready. Triple H getting into his boots. The Rock just walking back and forth with his big expensive stuff. We then see Al Snow again backstage looking for Pepper. We go to our next match of the evening. The Road Dogg versus Chris Jericho. Of course, Road Dogg comes out, does his trademark promos, says that if he was in the Cell Block D, he couldn't trade Chris Jericho's ass for a pack of cigarettes. And instead of tonight, he doesn't want to trade it. He wants to beat it. And he says, and speaking of beating it, he says he's got 2 words for you. Man, I miss the Attitude Era. My God, do I miss the Attitude Era. Wasn't perfect by any standards, but it was so flippin' fun. Anyways, the match itself, this was okay. It was an okay, quick match. It's clearly just to set up other things. Road Dogg gives it the suck it signs to Chris Jericho. He starts to show up Jericho, hitting him with some good shots, some clotheslines. Jericho, though, does eventually get the advantage. Spits this energy drink. I forgot the name of it. It was a sponsor of the show. I thought it was Surge. I was wrong. But I remember Surge being really big back at this time. His face with the help of Howard Finkel, who did accompany Chris Jericho. So for those who are wondering why Howard Finkel was there, Howard Finkel was essentially the Ralphus for them, because before Jericho jumped ship, he had Ralphus as his manager / dare I say it, slave? Sort of? His manservant. We'll put it that way, his servant. But so Howard Finkel, who was not ring announcing at the time, kind of filled that void. He filled in that role for him during that time. So he hits a backbreaker, a double-armed backbreaker by Chris Jericho. Jericho then pulls out a table, sets it up in the ring, stomps the back of the Road Dogg, starting to work over his back a little bit. Jericho tries to suplex the Road Dogg on the table, but he tries to fight. They kind of struggle back and forth, but Road Dogg ends up hitting a suplex onto Chris Jericho. He starts to build the momentum with a nice little headshot off of the arms. Boom. I'll stop, I promise. Hits the knee drop, only gets a 2 count. Jericho, though, slides off of the Irish whip, slides underneath Bulldog, underneath the Road Dogg. Jericho then hits him with a powerbomb, but holds it in, lifts him up, and then powerbombs the Road Dogg through the table, getting the disqualification, allowing the Road Dogg to get the win via DQ. Right after that is, Jericho then immediately locks in the walls of Jericho, holding it in, refs break it up, he goes back, reapplies it, and then finally lets him go. When we come back from the commercial break, Jericho and Fink are backstage, and you see Chimmel in the ring, and Jericho's like, what is he doing in there? Who is he? You're Howard Finkel. Like, he fires him up. He ain't nothing. He don't look as good as you. His hair ain't as good. And Fink's like, yeah. He's like, you're a warrior. Get in there and get him. So Fink goes running. Howard Finkel, I'm telling you, that's freaking crazy. Fink then comes out to the Ultimate Warriors theme song. He's doing the whole entrance, shaking the ropes. Like, this was like, oh my God, I forgot this even happened. Freaking great. Gets in the face of Tony Chimmel. Says that he wants his job back, that he's the greatest ever. And then he shoves Tony Chimmel, grabs the microphone, starts to announce whatever, starting to do his job. But Tony Chimmel then jumps him from behind, choking him, slamming his head against the mat. Finally gets him out of the ring. You see, they cut to Jericho in the back and say, ooh, that's going to leave a mark. Like, Jericho, so fucking witty. Jericho, though, does come out. Helps the Fink back up. They're starting to walk up the ramp. Out comes Ken Shamrock for his match against Val Venus, who did not make an appearance. Shamrock purposely walks into and bumps Chris Jericho in the chest. Jericho then gets offended. He's talking to Fink, and Fink's like, oh. So he sends Howard Finkel back down to the ring. Fink runs around, taps on the shoulder, starts yelling at him. Shamrock grabs his hand, starts hurting him. Jericho runs all the way back around the ring, hits Shamrock with a chair shot to the back. Both Fink and Jericho run off. Shamrock gets pissed. He chases them to the back. They get out of the ring. Then out comes Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon says that she wants Andrew Test to come out to the ring. She says that he asked her a question on Monday and that she wanted things to be perfect, wanted them to be right, but she does have an answer. Test says, well, if you want this to be perfect, allow me to make it perfect. And he gets down on one knee, asks her to marry him. She says yes. So they're hugging, they're kissing. Out comes the Mean Street Posse. Mean Street Posse come out. They attack Test. Then comes Mankind, who takes them out with steel chair shots. Shane McMahon was in the ring holding Stephanie back when they were beating up Test. Mankind says to leave them alone. He says he's already went back up that ramp twice. He says he's not going back. He is not going back up that ramp till they have this match. So he tells Shane they're having this match. He says, Shane, I'll even sweeten the pot. He says, I'll let you have this steel chair that I dented your friends' heads with. He says, you get one free shot. So Shane takes it, hits him with the chair, starts celebrating like, yeah, I did it. Mankind was faking it. No sold it. So I guess we had the match. I never heard the bell officially ring at this point. But Mankind versus Shane McMahon. Mankind starts working over Shane, beating him up on the outside, clothesline him to the outside, clotheslines him, suplexes him over the barricade back into the ringside area. Mean Street Posse then attack Mick Foley. Test gets back up. He helps Mick Foley. I know I keep calling Mick Foley. It's Mankind, but Mick Foley. We know who the fuck it is. All right, we know. Then out comes Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe, the Stooges, who also help. Stephanie even jumps on Pete Gas's back and is just like raking it like a fucking wild animal. Like, I liked Stephanie in this. It was nice. During all this, Shane hits a elbow drop off the middle rope, then gets hit with a double arm DDT by Mankind. He doesn't even get. He sets up the mandible claw, but then China comes out, distracts the referee, allowing Triple H to hit Mankind in the knee, and that allows Shane McMahon to cover him and get the 3 count to win the match. So I didn't realize hitting, a guy who literally had his head bashed in and kept getting up. I don't know, logic gap, but I don't know. I guess if this was Raw now or SmackDown now, I certainly wouldn't freaking pass him. So that was a dumb decision. I did not understand the purpose of that. Ms. Mick fucking Foley and took just a shot to his knee. I get they were playing to the fact that Triple H hit him in the knee with a sledgehammer months prior and putting out Foley that was his weak spot, but kind of no sense. Logic gap. I'll leave it at that. Then when we go backstage, we see Chris Jericho and Howard Finkel running. He gets in his little Taurus, his old, I think it's like a 96 Taurus. Jericho leaves Fink out. He drives off. Shamrock catches up. He's yelling. He grabs Howard Finkel, says, "Don't you ever. Did you crap yourself?" And he pushes Fink back down. Oh, that was freaking great. So Fink literally crapped himself. We then go to a sit-down interview with Meytal Cohan. He was tolerable with Steve Austin. Basically, the whole interview was Austin talking about, him being injured and still going with the match, and then Triple H, was it inflamed tendons or something? His tendons in his knees are messed up, but he said a little rehab and he'll be back. Triple H said he'd never be the same. He says, "Well, I guess we'll find out when I get him in the ring and I beat his ass." There's about Triple H going on this mean streak. He said, "I guess he, borrowed some pages from my book, but he didn't read the whole book." He says, "When I get him in the ring, I'll beat his ass and take the World Wrestling Federation Championship." That was basically the whole interview. Austin being Austin. And it was all focused around him and Triple H. So here we come to the segment. Easily my least favorite segment of this entire show. It was the women's match, the Divas match for the evening. Tori versus Ivory in an evening gown match. And I'm just going to be honest. This was garbage. It was punches, kicks, hair pulling. Ivory is a fantastic women's wrestler. I'm not going to take that away from her. But Tori, not so much. Not so much at all. This match was Tori in a button-up shirt, throwing Ivory around, winning the match, and then Luna Vachon coming in and breaking it up. And this was to build off of the match at SummerSlam where her top was ripped off. I'm sorry to say that this reminded me of the dark part of the women's revolution, the women's evolution, whatever you want to call it. Not a fan of how things were with the women's wrestling back at this point in time. Just not a fan. Never could I ever be a fan of that. It was just, no. I couldn't do it. Just no. So this was easily my least favorite segment of this show. Period. It set up for something later on, I guess, at Unforgiven. I don't even remember, to be completely honest with you. Lillian Garcia interviews Triple H in China, starts asking about, The Rock saying this was his show and, him possibly taking the title. China cuts her off, says, "Look, I'm going to cut you some slack. I don't know you, don't know where you're from." Says, "But how about you show the champ some respect?" Triple H says if The Rock wants to play this game, that's fine. Show up and play, but he better bring his everything. Better bring everything he's got. Says, and as far as Shawn Michaels goes, he better call it right down the middle. He says that He better call it down the line and stay out of his way, or he will make sure he never walks again. Triple H, prime Triple H, being the game before he was the King of Kings and all that stuff. Al Snow, still looking for Pepper. He's out by the production truck, still looking for Pepper. We see Test and Stephanie leaving, everyone coming to them, congratulating them. Then we get our main event of the evening for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. God, I love that saying. World Wrestling Federation Championship, the WWE Championship, the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Triple H wearing his little chain vest that he had at SummerSlam that year. Coming out, the old just when Triple H was just like all the colors and super dark, like really fitting of his character at that time. We get these guys, they have their little stare down, some back and forth fists. Triple H, backed into the corner with the Rock, hitting him with those rights. Rock attempts to rock bottom, and Triple H escapes. Triple H then attempts to hit the pedigree, and Rock escapes that, and then these guys continue to go back and forth to the outside. Triple H goes for a suplex on the ramp, but that's blocked by The Rock. He goes for one. Triple H blocks that. Rock again goes for it and then actually hits the superplex. They continue to fight on the outside. Rock with a side Russian leg sweep on the stage. The Rock then, after they get back in the ring, Rock clotheslines Triple H to the outside. Some more fists by the table, slamming Triple H's face into the announce table. China comes around, low blows The Rock. Low blows Rock. HBK then decides he's going to eject her. You're out of here. And she gets mad, of course. He's walking up the ramp. Triple H comes up. They're all arguing. Triple H goes back to the ring. Rock hits him with the DDT. Jahns still, distracted by China, comes back, only gets a 1 count. Rock's, of course, mad. Some back and forth. Rock running the ropes, gets hit with the high knee. Shane McMahon then makes his way out to the ring. You get some shoulders in the corner by Triple H. A hard Irish whip into the corner. Big suplex by Triple H for a 2 count. Then he gets him on the mat into a side headlock. Rock, though, does fight out. Elbows to the gut. Hot shot to Triple H over the rope. 2 count by The Rock. Swinging neck breaker. Shane McMahon on the apron. Rock knocks him off the apron. Ends up hitting a rock bottom. And I remember this as a kid, right? I remember this as a kid. So excited. Oh my God. Oh my God, The Rock. The Rock is going to become the champion. He does the most electrifying move in all of entertainment. He runs run rope. He comes back. And as he's coming back to lay the elbow on the game, sweet chin music from Shawn Michaels. Everyone, what the? And JR, like, what the? Being like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw that too. Like, you guys do remember these guys were best friends, right? They were best friends. Like I said, the Attitude Era was not perfect. Then Triple H hits the pedigree for the 3. Triple H retains the championship. All 3 men are celebrating. Shane, Shawn, China comes back out. They are with the lines of, we got an overbearing owner, a crooked commissioner, and a son of a bitch of a champion. Fuck, I love JR. And then celebrating on the ramp is how SmackDown ends. This was fun. I have no other way to describe it other than that was fun. Watching SmackDown again, fucking loved it. Fucking loved it. It was awesome. I cannot wait to do Raw on Monday. So you guys will get that little nugget of goodness from me on Monday. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, whoever it is. Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed this and me and my half-assed sort of review. I don't know. I had fun with it. That's all I care about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this too. Now, to reiterate, every Monday, every Friday will be Raw and then SmackDown. These, I'm just going in chronological order. So the Raw that followed this is what I'll be doing next. Now, when Unforgiven comes around, I want you guys to let me know in the comments. Should I do those reviews for free? or put them up on Patreon for $1. You guys let me know. I do have my Retro Rewind reviews, so there actually will be one tomorrow for WCW Bash at the Beach. Tomorrow's the 4th of July, so that's going to be a special 4th of July video for you guys. WCW's Bash at the Beach 2000. I'm going to put myself through some torture of WCW in 2000. You guys let me know. Should I put these pay-per-views on the channel for free or post them to Patreon for $1? I will definitely take what you guys have into consideration. But that is it for me. I want to thank you guys for coming in. Remember, Patreon. You guys can check our social media, all of that stuff. I want to thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was your SmackDown Classic Review. I'm Zach. And remember, join the nation. Goodbye.